Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the MLB slate on DraftKings for Friday, July the 27th. We do have a full 15-game slate today, and it's a slate that I love. A lot of good pitching options up top. 5 guys over 10K. We didn't see that yesterday. It's really nice to see a loaded pitching slate after what we had yesterday. After Strasburg got scratched yesterday, pitching just got really ugly. It was pretty much ugly before then. But this is a nice pitching slate with Scherzer, Sale, Kershaw, Carrasco, and Greinke. Pretty much all of them have somewhat favorable matchups, and I think all guys are definitely playable today. We'll talk about the expensive pitchers. We'll talk about the mid-tier arms and the value pitchers if I see any. We'll also go over the hitters that I like, the teams I'm trying to stack up, and we'll talk about BVP plays as well. But before we do get started, guys, make sure you drop a like on the video. If you're new to the channel and you have not clicked that subscribe button yet, would definitely appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel, so that way you will not miss out on any of my new videos. But yeah, the stud pitching options today, I really like the top tier. We got Max Scherzer, who gets a matchup against the Marlins. Chris Sale facing the Twins. Kershaw gets a matchup against the Braves. Carrasco faces the Tigers, and Zach Greinke, rounding out the 10K pitchers, gets a matchup against the Padres. Honestly, guys, I think all these guys are playable. If you're making like a lot of tournament lineups, I think you have at least one of these guys in every single tournament lineup you make, especially if you're making like, maybe for like 20 max, if you're making 20 tournament lineups, I say you put one of these guys in every lineup because all of them have upside. Max Scherzer facing the Marlins, great play there. He's very expensive, but we'll talk about some value at pitcher. There's a very cheap pitcher I like today that you compare with the stud. Max Scherzer against the Marlins, you could definitely go there in tournaments. For cash games, if I'm just having to pick one of these guys, it's definitely going to be Chris Sale. I am going to put Chris Sale into the 5 plays. If you're playing cash today, if you're playing single entry tournaments, Chris Sale's probably the guy you want versus the Twins. Chris Sale's just been on another level lately. He's just pretty much, he's the best pitcher in baseball in my opinion, just as of now, even above Scherzer. He's just so good. You look at the game log, the strikeouts, just how deep he's pitching in games, how few runs he's allowing, how few hits he's allowing. Last 4 games, looks like he's only allowed 13 hits, I believe, or no, 14 hits through 4 games. That's about 2 hits per game. Only allowed 1 run through 4 games, which is just absolutely insane. And through his last 4 games, he's racked up over 40 strikeouts. Chris Sale just so good. The Twins struggle versus left-handed pitching. This is such a great spot for Chris Sale. The Twins only have a 2.9 implied run total. Sale's a minus 340 favorite. Cash games, I think you play Chris Sale over Scherzer today. That's just my opinion. Maybe people will think differently, but I think Sale is by far the top option. Has faced the Twins once this year and dominated them. 7 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, 11 strikeouts, 30 DraftKings points. Easily could see Sale putting up a very similar outing, if not a better outing than that. He's by far the top option on this slate, just in my opinion. Then you have Kershaw at 12-8, who I do like here versus the Braves, but I will kind of save Kershaw for tournaments. I wouldn't play Kershaw in cash games. But Kershaw's kind of been improving lately. The Braves not as good versus left-handed pitching. So you definitely could play Kershaw here. Carrasco against the Tigers. I do like Carrasco here on the road. He pitches a lot better on the road. He's 11-4, which is a reasonable price tag. The Tigers will strike out versus righties. Carrasco in tournaments I think makes a lot of sense. And then Greinke against the Padres, another great play there. We know the Padres strike out a ton. Greinke coming off a great outing against the Rockies where I think he had like 12 or 13 strikeouts, looked really good. Definitely like Zach Greinke in tournaments as well. But like I said, cash games, if you're making one lineup today, Chris Sale, 13-5, should be the guy you look to build around. Looking for like our mid-tier pitchers, I don't really see a route to, I guess you could go 2 mid-tier arms today, play a guy like maybe Chris Archer, and then a cheap batter like Chris Archer and Keuchel. You could do that, but with just the top tier options that we have, with how much upside these guys have, I don't see myself really fading all of them. Like, I don't see myself making a tournament lineup with none of those 5 guys in at least one lineup, just because a lot of them have so much upside today. But if you were to do that, you could definitely go like Archer, who gets a great matchup against the Orioles at 9,500. You could definitely fade the top arms and play Archer and Keuchel. Like I mentioned, I do like Keuchel here at home versus the Rangers, a team that does strike out versus left-handed pitching. You got Marcus Stroman at 7,300. He's facing the White Sox. I think that's a pretty good matchup for Stroman. So if you wanted to go like Stroman and Archer, or Keuchel and Archer in tournaments, or not Keuchel Archer, but Keuchel and Stroman in tournaments to be different. You could definitely do that if you're just trying to get contrarian. And then if you're looking for like value pitchers, you got CC Sabathia, who's a heavy favorite at home versus the Royals. Not sure what the exact money line is. Minus 282 versus the Royals. They only have a 3.5 implied run total, and CC Sabathia is cheap today at 6,900. He could be a value pitcher you look to. But the value pitcher that I really like is way down here. Chase Anderson, only 5,500 today, and he's pitching in a matchup against the Giants in AT&T Park, which is a great pitcher's park. I really like Chase Anderson here. I really like him as a cash game SP2 because this is a very nice price tag and a very good matchup for him. The Giants are not a team that I'm afraid to take pitchers against. I do like this matchup for Anderson. We look at the projected lineup for the Giants. There are some strikeouts in this lineup, especially when you get to the bottom of the lineup with Pablo Sandoval, Hanson, Hunter Pence. Bumgarner is a great hitter, just like as a pitcher, but he will still strike out. He's still a pitcher. He's not really a guy I'm afraid of in that lineup. And like I said, the ballpark, really one of the reasons I like Chase Anderson here, that ballpark in San Francisco is just so pitcher-friendly. Only a 4.1 implied run total for the Giants. And another reason I just really like Chase Anderson is this price tag. 5,500, just that pairs so well if you're trying to pay up for a Chris Sale or a Max Scherzer on this slate. And you still want to fit in some decent bats. There is a Coors game on this slate. If you want to fit in Coors with Chris Sale, I think you have to look to a guy like Chase Anderson, who's only 5,500. Really great value, just in my opinion, at pitcher. If you wanted to go like just full-on punt pitcher and go like CC and Chase Anderson and just load up on the bats, I could see doing that in tournaments just to try and be contrarian. But I do have a feeling today that most likely the winning GPP lineup on this slate is going to have one of these five guys in their lineup. But you never know with baseball, weird things always happen. So I could see fading those top arms in tournaments at pitcher and looking to go a little bit cheap. But that's really it for the value pitcher. Chase Anderson's really the cheap guy that I like. Like Andrew Cashner, I'm not playing against the Rays. Brad Keller, Lance Lynn, I'm not playing these guys. Gallardo, no thanks. Jason Vargas, no way. Perdomo's been terrible this year. So Chase Anderson's the cheapest guy I like at pitcher today, and I think that is it for all the pitchers I'm really interested in on this slate. So now we'll go ahead and talk about bats, the hitters that we want to target or that I feel like I'm going to be targeting on this slate. I do love the Astros today versus Yovani Gallardo. The Astros are one of the teams with the highest implied run total on this slate. Aside from Coors Field, where you got a 6 implied run total for the Rockies and a 5.7 implied run total for the Athletics. The Astros do have a high run total at 5.7 versus Gallardo. And you look in this lineup, and there are some cheap bats in this lineup. Jose Altuve, if he is in the lineup today, is a guy that just sticks out to me so much, especially at 4,500. For this matchup, Altuve just seems way too cheap. I know he's been sort of struggling lately, hasn't been hitting the ball well as of late, but this is a matchup where Altuve can get right. He's dirt cheap. He's 4,500. If he's in the lineup today, I think he's a great play at second base. I love the Astros. Gallardo is a pitcher that I do want to pick on. Wish this game was being played in Texas, but even in the Astros stadium, the Astros can still put up runs. And you can just see in this run total how bad Gallardo is and just how Vegas really has no respect for him. So Altuve I love. Also love Josh Reddick. He's 4K, should be batting right in the middle of that lineup. He's going to be another guy that I have a lot of exposure to today. He's had a lot of success in the past versus Yovani Gallardo. If we look at the BVP, Josh Reddick's gone 8 for 16, batting 500 versus Gallardo. Evan Gattis is also hitting well, 5 for 13. Love the Astros, like I said. Love Josh Reddick here at 4K. Really good cheap option you can consider, especially if you're looking to get away from kind of the Coors Field chalk. I imagine Coors is going to have some ownership. Even though a lot of these guys did get priced up, we usually see the road teams sometimes, especially on DraftKings, the road teams will be cheap, just like cheaper than they should be, but that's not really the case today. The Athletics are really priced up. Almost all the good hitters in this lineup that you want are near 5K. Simeon 4,800, Jed Lowry 4,900, Chris Davis is insanely expensive at 5,800. So I'm not really sure if you're going to be able to fit in Athletics today with Chris Sale because they did really get priced up. And then the guys that are a little bit cheaper, like lefty on lefty with Matt Olson, I'm not sure if I want to play versus a lefty. Jonathan Lucroy is dirt cheap at 3K if you're just trying to look to punt catcher. Matt Chapman, though, he kind of got priced up at 4,300. Going to be hard to fit in Coors. Guys like Altuve, Reddick, these guys are cheap and they're in a great spot. Marlon Gonzalez is really cheap at 3,100. Gurriel 3,800. I do love the Astros here, and I love their price tags versus Gallardo. And then my final play is going to be a really cheap value play I like. I do love the Pirates today versus Jason Vargas. So at 3,500, I like David Freese. You can play him at first base or third base on DraftKings. I think he makes a lot of sense as a value play today. Should be in the lineup. He is in the projected lineup for the Pirates. Projected back cleanup for a Pirates team that does have a 5.2 implied run total at home versus Vargas. Vargas has been terrible this year. He's going to struggle again, I feel like. So guys like Josh Harrison, David Freese, even Cervelli, if you're looking for a cheap catcher, I think these guys are really good value options today. Vargas is definitely a pitcher I want to pick on, even though this isn't a great hitter's park. Some of these guys like Freese and Harrison can still hit lefties really well. I know David Freese homered Thursday night with Steven Matz. The dude can still hit lefties well, still has some power. At 3,500, bat and cleanup versus a terrible pitcher with the platoon split. I think he makes a lot of sense if you are looking for a cheap value play at first base or third base. But yeah, guys, these are my 5 plays for tonight's 15-game slate. Chris Sale, Chase Anderson, David Freese, Jose Altuve, and Josh Reddick. Now we'll go ahead and talk about some of the stacks that I like on this slate and some of the BVP plays on this slate. So looking at stacks, I mentioned the Pirates. Really like them with a 5.2 implied run total versus Vargas. Love the Astros with a 5.7 implied run total against Yovani Gallardo. You do have Coors Field, which you can obviously look to, but I'm not as high on Coors Field today. Not really my focus. I think guys like Arenado, obviously Arenado and Story versus a lefty in Coors have to be considered, but definitely not guys I'm trying to jam into my lineups, especially against Manaea, who is a pretty good pitcher. So that's kind of why I'm looking to the Astros. I'm looking to the Pirates. Another team we could probably consider up here is the Yankees with a 6.1 implied run total versus Brad Keller. If you can fit some of these Yankees in your lineup, definitely try to do that. They're going to put up runs, especially at home. But yeah, that's it for stacks. Now we'll go ahead and talk about BVP plays. There are a lot of them on this slate, so I'll just cover the ones with at least about a 20 at-bat sample. If you do want to look at all the BVP plays, you can just pause the video right here and scroll through them. But starting off with some of these Orioles, some of them have hit Chris Archer well. Chris Davis has gone 8 for 34 with 3 home runs. Jonathan Scope, 9 for 26 with 5 home runs. He's really hit Chris Archer well. Jose Bautista, 10 for 32 with a home run versus Ivan Nova. Yonder Alonso, 7 for 21 versus Mike Fiers. David Freese does have BVP versus Jason Vargas, going 6 for 11 with a home run. Jose Ramirez, 6 for 16 with a home run versus Mike Fiers. Jose Iglesias, 11 for 31 versus Carlos Carrasco. Derek Dietrich, 5 for 20 with 2 home runs versus Scherzer. Martin Prado, gone 16 for 35 with a home run versus Max Scherzer. Brian Dozier, 12 for 44 with 3 home runs versus Chris Sale. And Logan Morrison, 5 for 15 with a home run versus Sale. Let's see here. Adrian Beltre, 22 for 71 with 2 home runs versus Dallas Keuchel, a 310 average against Keuchel and a pretty big sample size. Paul Goldschmidt, 8 for 20 with 3 home runs versus Luis Perdomo. And lastly, Ryan Braun, 8 for 29 with 2 home runs versus Madison Bumgarner. So that is it for BVP on this 15-game slate. I think that's it for stacks, and I think that is it for the video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy the video. Hopefully it did help you. If you enjoyed the vid, guys, just make sure you drop a like before you do get out of here. If you have not subscribed yet, make sure you do click that subscribe button down below. And if you have any questions, you can always hit me up on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT, or feel free to leave a comment down below, and I will get back to you guys as soon as I can. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And good luck tonight on this 15-game slate. Peace.